Welcome back. Tata Motors is curating its SUV vehicles offering to cater to the changing demand in the domestic market. Vinay Pant, head of marketing at Tata Motors Passenger Vehicles, is catching up with us this week on the increasing SUV market share, changing consumer demand, and as the company is gaining market share, what is Tata Motors doing to differentiate its SUV offerings from the competition and modernizing the segment? Vinay, welcome to CNBC TV18.
Thank you, Shibani. Pleasure to be on the show.
Vinay, I have seen over the past couple of years, Tata Motors is strengthening its SUV portfolio. So if you can share with us, what is your current market share in this segment? And, what are some of the things that you are doing, especially when it comes to SUVs?
So I think we spotted the trend much earlier, right? And the Nexon, when we launched that, right? So much against the convention, we went against the boxy designs, right? So we started with a coupe shaped SUV, and which was really lapped up by the customers. And after that, we've been actually improving on that design, making it much more mature, right? Followed by the Harrier, the Safari, and the Punch, right? So our portfolio is very, very robust, whether it is the entry-level SUVs. So Punch is again something which we actually identified that there's a segment which is growing there. Nexon we'd already worked on, and then the high end, right? So SUVs is a segment where we had laid our bets, and I think it worked for us. Currently, more than 60% of our sales are coming from the SUV portfolio, and our share in the compact and subcompact SUVs is close to a third, so around 33%, and in the high SUVs where we operate, it's around 25%. So a very robust portfolio, a portfolio which is spanning a huge number of price points, and I think we're doing pretty well there.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, you had picked up this trend early on, but the competition in this is like in the SUV segment is very, very stiff. So what are some of the things that Tata Motors is doing to, let's say, modernize its offerings?
The basis of this falls in this philosophy that we have, which we call the new forever, right? That you make designs and you keep doing improvements, which makes your product a relatively fresh one every time, right? So if you look at the design language that we have, right, whether it's the Nexon, the Punch, the Harrier, Safari, especially the new ones if you see, right, they have evolved over time. So while the basic character of the car remains the same, but the way the refinements are happening has been very different. And you keep the market abuzz by doing those investments and new introductions, right? So for example, we spotted this trend of the dark color, right? And way back in 2020, we actually introduced the dark edition in the Harrier, right? Then we upped it up earlier this year when we had the red dark, right? So it's about listening to the customers, seeing what the trends are, and actually translating that into your product, into your features. The other thing, of course, is the technologies. If you sit into the cabin of any of our cars, you'll see that it's a very cocoon kind of a feeling, because of course our cars are the safest, but there's a lot of tech also flowing into that, right? Because the way the digitization is happening, the way, for example, the way kids are actually influencing car decisions. You sit into the console of a Harrier or Safari or a Nexon, you'll see that it's in a way inspired from these gaming consoles, right? You switch on the car and the T logo lights up, right? So those are things that you keep listening to, and fortunately we have a very agile team, and we're able to implement this at a very frantic kind of a pace.
So also share with us some of the marketing efforts that you guys have put forth around these offerings by Tata Motors.
So Altroz is one of our flagship products. We introduced the CNG in that, the iCNG technology that we have, right? And we introduced a new technology which is called a twin cylinder, right? So CNGs have been there, and factory fitted CNGs have been there for a very long time. But the common problem which people facing and even face in many of the competition models is that you compromise on the boot space. So we came up with this technology, which is the twin cylinder, which is two small cylinders which add up to the same capacity, but in the process you end up freeing up the boot space, right? So our campaign was based on a consumer insight, because when we showed this car to a customer, so the moment she saw that, she said, "Oh my God," right? And from there we picked it up, this OMG. So the entire campaign was around OMG CNG, right? And it was a completely 360-degree campaign. And we had some innovative solutions which we use, especially in the case of outdoors, right? So one thing which been really viral was this innovation that we had done around the carousel trays at the airports, right? To show how actually spacious our boot was. So we had taken that luggage belt and on that we had put a cutout of a car. Not a cutout, actually, it was a proper car which was there, and all the luggage was going into the boot.
Yeah.
Right. Earlier this year, when it was the Red Dark edition of the Harrier Safari and the Nexon, right? There again, it was inspired by manga, right? And the way the animation moved to the actual ad, and that it was, I think, something of a pretty visual delight, right? That's what we're trying to bring into our campaigns, and fortunately, it's working for us.
All the best for that. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us
Thank you,
today.
Shibani. Pleasure being with you.